Welcome to Trending Update USA, I'm Stefan, and today we're looking at a question that goes far beyond one match. When a young superstar like Coco Gauff gives an injury update right before a massive semifinal, what does it really mean? Not just for her performance, but for the pressure, expectations, and reality of modern sports. Because this isn't just about whether she's fit enough to play at the Miami Open semifinal. It's about how much we ask from athletes, how closely we watch them, and how little space they sometimes have to simply be human. Let's quickly ground ourselves in what actually happened. Coco Gauff, one of the brightest stars in tennis and still incredibly young, has been on a strong run at the Miami Open. But ahead of her semi-final match, concerns emerged about her physical condition. She addressed those concerns directly, giving an update that reassured fans to some extent, while still leaving questions about how close to 100% she really is. Now, on the surface, this is normal. Injuries are part of sports. Players manage discomfort, fatigue, and minor issues all the time. But what makes this situation different is timing, visibility, and expectation. A semi-final at a major tournament is not just another match, it's a global moment. Millions are watching. Every movement is analyzed. Every word is interpreted. And that's where things get interesting. Coco Gauff is not just playing tennis anymore. She's carrying a narrative. Since her breakout as a teenager, she has been positioned as the future of the sport. Every tournament becomes part of a larger story. Can she dominate? Can she stay consistent? Can she handle the pressure? So when an injury update comes out, it's not received as neutral information. It becomes part of that narrative machine. Some fans worry. Others speculate. Some even question whether it's strategic, psychological, or something more serious. That's the world she operates in. From a performance perspective, even a minor physical issue can have a major impact at this level. The difference between winning and losing in elite tennis often comes down to tiny margins: reaction time, footwork, confidence in movement. If a player is even slightly hesitant because of discomfort, it can change everything. But here's the deeper layer: the mental side. Imagine stepping onto the court knowing that not only are you facing a top opponent, but the entire world is also watching to see if you look injured. Every missed shot suddenly becomes, "Is she okay?" Every slower movement becomes a talking point. That kind of attention can create a feedback loop in an athlete's mind. You're not just playing your opponent anymore, you're managing perception. And Coco Gauff, despite her composure, is still navigating that balance. She has shown maturity beyond her years in interviews, often addressing topics with clarity and calm. But that doesn't mean the pressure isn't there. In fact, it may be even greater because of how composed she appears. People expect her to handle everything perfectly. This brings us to the role of media and social media in modern sports. In previous generations, an injury update might have been a short statement, maybe a line in a newspaper, and that was it. Today, it's instant, global, and endlessly discussed. Clips are shared, slowed down, analyzed. Fans on platforms like X and Instagram dissect body language, tone of voice, even facial expressions. And while that level of engagement shows how much people care, it also creates a kind of constant surveillance. Athletes are no longer just competing, they're being observed in real time, judged in real time, and discussed in real time. There's very little room for ambiguity, and even less room for privacy. For someone like Gauff, who has grown up in this digital era, this is normal. But normal doesn't mean easy. There's also an important conversation here about transparency. Fans want honesty. They want to know if their favorite player is fully fit. But how much should an athlete reveal? If you share too much, it can be used against you strategically by opponents. If you share too little, people accuse you of hiding something. It's a no-win situation in many ways. Gauff's approach, acknowledging the issue without overdramatizing it, feels like a balanced one. It shows awareness, professionalism, and a level of control over her own narrative. But again, that's easier said than done. Let's also talk about the physical demands of the modern tennis calendar. The tour is relentless. Travel, different surfaces, changing climates, it all adds up. The Miami Open, played in humid conditions, can be especially taxing. Even the fittest athletes feel it. Recovery time is limited, and the expectation to perform consistently never really pauses. So when we hear about an injury update, it's often not about a single moment. It's about accumulated stress on the body. It's about how many matches have been played, how intense they were, and how little time there is to reset. And for younger players like Gauff, there's an added dimension. Their bodies are still adapting to the full demands of the professional circuit. They're building endurance, learning recovery strategies, and figuring out how to manage their schedules long term. This is why moments like this semi-final matter beyond the immediate result. If Gauff plays and performs well, the narrative becomes one of resilience. If she struggles, the conversation shifts to whether the injury affected her, whether she should have rested, whether expectations were too high. Either way, the story continues. But maybe the more important question is this: how do we, as fans and viewers, engage with these moments? Do we see athletes as complete individuals navigating complex pressures, or do we reduce them to outcomes, win or lose, fit or injured, strong or weak? Because the truth is, it's never that simple. Coco Gauff's situation is a reminder that behind every headline is a person managing physical strain, mental pressure, and public attention all at once. It's easy to forget that when we're watching from a distance, analyzing performance, or reacting on social media. And yet, these are exactly the moments that define modern sports culture. There's also a broader implication for how young athletes develop in this environment. When every small issue becomes a public discussion, it can shape how players think about their own bodies. Do they feel pressure to downplay pain? Do they worry about how honesty will be perceived? These are not just sports questions, they're human questions. And as the game continues to grow globally, with stars like Gauff leading the next generation, these dynamics will only become more important. So heading into the Miami Open semifinal, yes, the focus will be on her performance. That's natural. That's part of the competition. But there's also value in stepping back and recognizing everything that goes into that moment. The preparation, the recovery, the communication, the expectations, it all converges in a single match. And whatever happens, it will add another layer to Coco Gauff's journey, a journey that is still very much in progress. In the end, this isn't just about an injury update. It's about what it means to compete at the highest level in today's world. It's about visibility, pressure, resilience, and the evolving relationship between athletes and the watching them. Because sports, at their best, are not just about results. They're about stories, growth, and understanding what it takes to keep going even when things aren't perfect. And that's why this moment matters. Thanks for watching Trending Update USA, I'm Stefan. If you found this perspective helpful, stay with us for more thoughtful coverage of the stories behind the headlines.